it's one of those things where Willem Dafoe was the ringer, and he knew what he was getting into when this scene came on, and he was wearing earplugs because there was a crap ton of live fire that day. With full flash blanks. Everyone always asks, like, dang, those fireballs are huge. That's because they're running complete full flash, unabridged blanks the whole time, which are as loud, that's as loud as it gets. Yeah. And yeah, if you want to distract yourself, he's wearing earplugs.
And the irony is you don't even really hear most of it.
No, you don't.
It's all kind of slow-mo.
Yep.
So it's like...
Actually, slow-mo almost got Troy into a lot of trouble film because...
This podcast is rated PC for Pew Culture. Pew, 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 pew. Welcome to another episode of the Pew Culture Podcast. Wait. What are you doing?
You know what we're doing today?
I mean, what? What do you do?
Boondock Saints, bitches.
Okay.
This is Coleo Noir. I'm Jake. There's a lot of shit to cover in this, so we don't have enough time for you to sit here and do a 5-minute opening.
My openings are like 10 seconds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but...
You don't have to sit there and listen to you.
Okay. Right.
Boondock Saints. This movie...
Apparently, I'm not going to be saying much.
I have been waiting to do this movie.
Jake is in his bag
for a long time. It's so good.
And I'm about to destroy it for him real quick.
He can't. You know why he can't destroy it?
I can.
Because my sense of self-worth is so high, you can't destroy me.
Boondock Saints didn't do much of anything for me.
Bull crap. That is
dead serious.
There was a firefight? That scene didn't do anything for you?
It was... I've never really been into stylized shootouts.
Really?
No.
Bad Boys, the Jamaican house shootout scene? Yeah. Walk it back, buddy. Walk it back.
Hold on. I didn't say I didn't like them, as I've never really been... You need to let me finish my sentence.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My sentence was, I've never really been into stylized shooting scenes the way that I like the more gritty, real authentic looking shooting scenes. That's what I was trying to say. But you're right. The Bad Boy scene, it wasn't Jamaicans, they were Haitian. At the Haitian house, right?
Racism.
I just don't want Zoe Pound showing up at her door. So that was heavily stylized. Incredibly stylized. And I was actually going to ask you that question. What did you prefer better, stylized shooting scenes or more gritty, raw?
I think it fully depends on the film itself, right? So Boondock Saints is a gritty film, right? The whole thing is gritty. Let's take a step into who Troy Duffy is. So Troy Duffy, writer, director, and interestingly enough, the composer of the entire film. So nice little tidbit here. His band actually handled all of the stuff for the music. He wrote all the music. He built all the music. If you remember, it's very religious, overtly religious themed music, right? Lots of and Celtic. Obviously, there's a lot of Celtic stuff in it too, which is really cool. But his band, The Brood, actually changed their name to the Boondock Saints as soon as the script got purchased. So he, obviously had a band, composed all the music for it. But the really interesting thing is Troy Duffy had never written a film before, had never worked in the movie industry before, had never had anything to do with films before. He was actually a bartender and a waiter at a bar in Massachusetts, and he wrote this film because him and his brother were living literally in a slum, and he watched a drug dealer shoot and kill a man, take what little money he had off of him and leave. And Troy was like, you know what? How badass would it be if someone could just come out here and kill all these bad dudes? Like, just vigilante, called from God to just come down and do his work, killing the masses of bad people.
So
Batman, except for Batman doesn't kill dudes, except for the one scene.
Just the one thing.
So dumb. Batman, come on. You have all the tools.
People.
Just kill them.
It.
It's so lame.
So really lame.
So lame.
And he's wearing a bat suit, and the lamest thing about him is he doesn't murder people.
He even has nipples.
Oh, okay.
In the George Clooney one. They should have at least let George kill. See, That's a man who's like, you know what? I don't care how dumb I look.
I told you I'm not
kill
entertaining
people.
nipple Batman ever again. So
He just said the words though. Peter, will you cut that out and make that a text message ringtone for me, please? Thank you.
anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yes. So the thing about Boondock Saints is when you have someone who has never written before, never produced before, was never in cinematography, had never been behind a camera, what are you naturally going to get out of it? Grit. Yes. Like you're going to get a lot of unpolished.
Yeah.
And that is what made the Boondock Saints amazing. What a lot of people didn't realize, because now this came out in 1999. What happened right at that time was a huge world tragedy, Columbine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
this,
even though Miramax had picked it up, it was being funded by a massive studio. This got a limited release. People don't realize Boondock Saints only went to 5 theaters.
Damn, I did not know that. No.
That is it. But everyone has heard Boondock Saints. Yeah. So the cult following around this gritty, under the radar, it really doesn't have a massive cast in it. Like, Willem Dafoe is the only one in this film who was well known before the film came out. And it was a swing to get Willem to do it. Now, without his character and without his performance, this movie doesn't hold together.
It doesn't.
That's not to say anything about Sean Patrick Flannery or Norman Reedus. Both of them were fantastic in the film and have both gone on to have really cool careers. Obviously, Norman with The Walking Dead. Sean Patrick Flannery has been in some of the most badass underground films that I've watched in the last 5-6 years. But they were unknown. Now, interesting. The other thing you get with a director who has never, ever worked with anyone before is casting is fun, right? So he's sitting there going, all right, let's talk about casting. So there's 5 or 6 points I'm going to make in this. This is actually one of the longest pieces of unknown history. So Troy Duffy is an unpolished director-writer. He didn't run in Hollywood circles at all, had no idea how most of this stuff worked. Went to go meet, first choice for one of the brothers was going to be Ewan McGregor. You remember Ewan? Mm-hmm. He played a little role in Star Wars and some other stuff. Went to go meet with Ewan at a bar to talk him into being one of them. They got along at first, and Troy got absolutely hammered. They're sitting in the bar talking about the death penalty, and neither one could agree. They got into a huge raging fight about it, never spoke again. Got into a all-out argument about the death penalty in a bar in Boston or wherever they are, and lost the chance to work with Ewan McGregor, who would have been, at this time, again, Star Wars, right? That's a huge draw. Didn't have him, so that they move on. They're talking to the studio's well, here's 3 other picks. You got Brad Pitt, you got Keanu Reeves, and you got Ethan Hawke. Troy Duffy goes, no Brad Pitt. His Irish accent is completely unbelievable, and he sucks at acting. Keanu Reeves.
I'm sorry, wait, what?
Yeah, that's what he said. Keanu Reeves. So I'm going to give you word for word on the next 2. Keanu Reeves is a fucking punk, and Ethan Hawke is a talentless fool. Those are word for word what Troy does. And again, this is a dude who's not in Hollywood, right? So he can do this.
Yeah.
You have a producer saying those things.
How many more movies did he produce after this?
Well, Boondock Saints 2.
And after that?
No idea. Have zero idea how many more he actually produced.
I think there might be a reason for that.
Well, at the end of the day, he made he got what he wanted off of this specific film, right? Yeah. Miramax, actually, it's really funny. Miramax, part of his compensation package for selling them the script was Miramax would purchase him the bar that he was working at. So he got that deal out of it. That was kind of cool. Outside of that, so that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah. It's Boondock Saints. So a lot of people don't realize people are like, Boondock Saints was such a cult classic, and then you were coming out with Boondock Saints 2. Why did it take 10, 20 years, whatever it is, 1999 to 2009? So why did it take so long to get it? Well, they got into, again, you are not part of Hollywood and you don't have the right legal team to redo the contracts. Troy did not get royalties. Troy, his team, the cinematography team, the principal actors, no royalties, no rights, no nothing once Boondock Saints came out, and he didn't own the rights to produce the second film until he sued them. He ended up getting undisclosed royalties, so no idea how much that was. But the biggest thing was he got the right to create the next Boondock Saints.
So he did get back royalties from the first one.
He did end up getting them, but he had to sue for them.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. So then, fast forward to today. Now he's literally writing right now Boondock Saints 3. And so Boondock Saints 3 is coming out original cast, which is a big deal. Boondock Saints 2 got pretty good reviews, actually, for what it was.
Yeah. But we all know the sophomore never lives up to
it. Never does the same.
Yeah.
The biggest issue for me was that Willem Dafoe wasn't a main. Like, that was my big thing with number 2.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with number 3. I think, if they really are going to get the whole cast and crew back together.
Let me make a cameo in it or something.
Hey, Troy, I have another talentless fool here who would be perfect for your film.
What a hater.
So, all right, anyways, this movie was made in 32 days.
Damn.
They had a $5.6 million budget, which is essentially walk away money.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much, yeah.
you have nothing.
Yeah.
So that way people understand how movies work. $5.6 million is essentially nothing. To be clear, there's a scene in the movie where Troy wanted to, it would have fit perfectly to have the Doors 5-1 play in that scene. To get that song cost $17 million. So needless to say, with the budget they had, they did not get it.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Just for the song to play during the scene?
Yeah.
17 mil?
Mm-hmm. Why do you think movies cost $200 million to produce? Now, to be fair, estates, because it's not like the Doors are, whatever. Yeah. Estates can definitely negotiate on those things, and they do.
Yeah, which is.
But for a movie like this that is relatively unknown as well as controversial, because I'll get into some other really fun controversy stuff with it.
17 mil?
Yeah, that's what they quoted.
17 mil for a song to play in a minute and 30 or 2-minute scene?
Uh-huh.
Get the entire fuck out of here. 17 mil?
That's what it was quoted at. Listen, I'm just reading what is on this thing. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, I don't get it. I don't. My brain is completely warped right now because 17 mil?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the wrong business, brother.
Dude, for real. We should be making music.
We really should.
Let's start a band.
I'm game.
All right, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Boondock Saints 2. Anyways, so movie was shot in 32 days. Obviously, you can't keep cast on because you have $5.6 million to work with. So every day you've got to pay. So movie is shot really fast. I think most people realize the F word is used in this film a lot, like 246 times. The dude who plays Two Deuce, their dad, the older guy. I love this story. The dude was so pumped to be in this film and to be strapped down with guns. Like, this is literally word for word. He was so pumped to be just strapped down with guns, being able to shoot people all day, that they could not get him to stop smiling in the scenes, and he was supposed to be this serious dude. So they literally gave him the cigars. He always has a cigar in his mouth because they could not get the guy to be serious about it, because he was just so pumped to just get to kill people for 32 days straight or however long he was on scene.
Can you blame him?
No, I would have been freaking pumped, dude.
That's part of the reason why I always wanted to try acting. I just want to do action scenes. I don't really want to do any acting. I just want to do acting. I just want to do action scenes and call it a day. I should write a script for an entire movie for myself, call it Tactical Narcissism. And I don't have any lines. I just set things up in a way where I just shoot blanks at people all day long.
Fun. We could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tactical Narcissism. That's the name of our band.
Boom.
Dude.
17 mil coming in heavy, baby.
SoundCloud. So I had mentioned a lot of controversy to this, right? Obviously, Columbine happened. That had nothing to do with the film. It's just it made it hard because this is unadulterated rage and violence. Like, that's what the film was based on. That's the principle of it. It did it really, really well. But the other side of it is the religious aspect, right? Mm-hmm. So these guys are Catholic.
Yeah.
Actually, right here, this is really cool. So one of the rosaries from the film signed by the cast as well as the director. It was a cool gift.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's just badass. So, but they were Catholic. The Catholic Church, 1,000,000,000% denounced everything about this film in every single way. So the big, that opening scene and all the scenes where they are in a cathedral, a Catholic cathedral, those are all Lutheran. So every single one, people don't realize, like, the Catholic Archdiocese of Toronto wrote Troy Duffy a 2-page letter saying he was the spawn of Satan and this film was an instrument of destruction against the Catholic religion.
Jesus.
They went hard, dude.
Apparently.
Like, they went freaking hard. Part of me understands it.
I mean, yeah.
Because they are literally saying that they're spoke to by God to kill people on this earth.
I mean, it's vigilantism. So, I mean, there's a certain noble aspect to it.
I mean, they're killing bad dudes mostly.
Yeah. Mostly.
I mean, well, we don't know everything about it, but that's the whole point of this. But that is, like, imagine being this dude, never written a movie before, never directed a movie before, had zero idea what you're doing, negotiating with Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You're trying to work with the Catholic faith, and they're basically telling you you're the spawn of Satan and you're a terrible human being for even considering this. You're still working he's working at the bar and writing this film in between his breaks and downtime at the bar. So he's in he's in this, like, kind of dark place where, like, nothing is really pulling him out. Just the amount of stuff that had to happen for this film to actually come about was a big deal. And then you get into one of the best parts about this for me is the fact that because he's not Hollywood in any way, shape, or form, it really unlocked the Firearm potential in this. When before have you seen a movie, 1999 or before, that was so heavily focused on suppressor usage, like actual, like, going into these underground movie armaments, like I love the scene too about, what the fuck do you need the rope for? Like, that whole scene right there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome, because I'm the dude who would definitely take the rope, like 100%. But you picture yourself in that setting, walking into that armory going, oh yeah, this is awesome. But then, unfortunately, they picked Beretta 92 FSs.
And it worked.
It worked. It's cool.
It
was just one of those things where you're like, really?
But then some of them weren't some of them actual Tauruses also?
So there is a mix of stuff. All the main guns are actual Beretta 92 FS. Okay. And people are always like, Beretta M9. Not the M9. These are the civilian models. There was a mix of everything in there. Obviously, they end up giving Rocco. So Rocco is one of the coolest characters in the film too, right? Rocco's awesome. Rocco is Rocco. They wrote the character for this dude. His actual name is Rocco Della Rocca or whatever. Like, he plays himself in the film. I don't understand what self he is in real life, but he literally is just playing himself. This scene is in the strip club where he goes in and just kills everybody. Yeah. He's just shooting through see-through or one-sided glass and stuff like that, wrecking everybody. But it's a wild scene. The scene where he kills the cat, Like, he slams the gun on the table, it blows the cat up. Like, really? Like, this could never happen in real life. Like, we all know that's not how guns work. But
cats are assholes, though.
they are. Also, you know, probably shouldn't leave a loaded gun pointing at a cat on a table. But
not, yeah.
hey, we all know you cannot slam a table and the gun go off. It's not something that's possible. Yeah, no, it's
what I will say is pretty cool. We don't have it here now. Is this Para Ordnance P10? It's on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was one of the guns in his little
Billy Connolly's.
setup.
Yep. He had so many cool guns on his. We do have the Smith & Wesson here. We've got that Smith & Wesson. What movie did we have? It's the same gun that was in. I think it was I Am Legend, actually. That stainless.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
How just brutal shooting a 45 in a gun this size is.
Oh, it'd suck.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
It would totally rip your hand off.
Yeah, that just does not look fun. But of course, Para Ordnance was like, "Fuck it, we can do it anyway."
Oh yeah. Para Ordnance was pimp back in the day. They didn't care at all. I loved it. Another cool thing is obviously there's they assassinate people, right? Mm-hmm. They get them down, they get behind them, they say a prayer, and then so that prayer, a lot of people think that prayer is in the Bible. Not in the Bible. Troy Duffy actually made it up with his dad. His dad helped him come up with it. So very, very cool kind of thing to do with your dad is write an assassination prayer.
I may or may not be blasphemous. I can't really tell.
I have no idea. I'm not saying anything one way or the other. I'm just giving you facts about a film. And then beyond that, then we go into probably the most famous scene in the film, Willem Dafoe's There Was a Firefight scene. The dancing, the stylistic shooting, the storytelling, the line descriptions, the way that he's there without being there. But like, it's such an iconic scene.
It's a dope scene. I think I just still like. There's something about stylistic style of shootouts. So, I mean, there's something about shootouts that are more stylistic that pull me out of it a little bit. I kind of like, when it comes to like shooting scenes, I kind of like being roped into it, where I don't realize that I'm not really breathing as deep as I probably should because I'm kind of on the seat of my.
You probably like more of like the 12-minute one scene take from Extraction.
That was literally in my head playing.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
Literally what's playing in my head.
I'm very much looking forward to the Extraction episode.
Yeah.
God, it's such a good movie.
You know what show we need to do? And it's not, and nobody really knows about it. And it's one of my favorite shows of all times. And I can't remember the name of it. The opening was Short Change Heroes. Strike Back.
Strike Back was great.
Yes, it was
some of the best gunplay and gun work in anything ever.
Phenomenal. We got to add that to the list.
All right, mark that on the list. Yeah. We'll cover Strike Back. Yeah. We might actually be able to get a few of those actors out here too for that.
So when I tell you, I remember on one of the later seasons, like right before it canceled, or I remember one of the females who were part of the crew. She started following me because I was watching it, and I was like, it was like the one that had like the buzz cut. I guess she was a lesbian in the show, but she was kind of like a badass, and I love Strike Back.
His tactical narcissism went through the roof.
I freaking love Strike Back. Like I would watch it over and over. I would watch the seasons over and over and over and over again. I freaking loved it. But yeah,
it was really good.
It really was. But it was also weird. We'll stop there with respect to that. There's because it was like the guy who's playing an American was actually British. The guy who's playing a British was actually American.
Happens a lot, actually.
So weird.
It is. Weird. It is really awkward, but I mean, it does happen a lot. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, like I get the stylized scene. I get I get all that stuff. This scene though was one of those things where I think that it created like something for other big budget films to look at and go, dang, a $5 million production did that. But again, you also go back to Willem Dafoe is the reason it could even happen. Like, without his storytelling, without his actor portrayal, without his talent, I mean, Willem Dafoe is on a completely different level for most people. Like, people almost forget that, he was in John Wick 1. His character, like without his character, there wouldn't be a John Wick 2, 3, 4.
And his face card, it gives him, he has such a unique looking face.
Green Goblin.
Yeah. It allows him to act without saying much.
Yeah.
And
He's so freaking talented, so good. Also wore earplugs in this scene. If you guys ever want something that will completely distract you and ruin the whole scene for you, he's the only actor in this. Like, again, you have guys who are not, were not big names.
Yeah.
Like, they were excited to be a part of this film. Sean Patrick Flannery, Norman Reedus, they went on to have great careers, but this was really the beginning.
Yeah.
Rocco has not done anything really since this. Like, it's one of those things where Willem Dafoe was the ringer, and he knew what he was getting into when this scene came on, and he was wearing earplugs because there was a crap ton of live fire that day. With full flash blanks, everyone always asks, like, dang, those fireballs are huge. That's because they're running complete full flash, unabridged blanks the whole time, which are as loud, that's as loud as it gets.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to distract yourself, he's wearing earplugs.
And the irony is you don't even really hear most of it.
No, you don't.
It's all kind of slow-mo.
Yep.
So it's like,
Actually, slow-mo almost got Troy into a lot of trouble in this film because, so you remember the scene where they dropped the toilet on the guy? Mm-hmm. So they had done an excerpt from that to show the studio, and it didn't have any of the techno music. It didn't have anything on it, and they just showed them slow motion footage of dropping a toilet on a guy. And of course, he had never dealt with Hollywood.
Gotcha.
You go to a Hollywood producer and you're like, oh, hey, check out this scene I just shot of this guy dropping a toilet on another guy. And you think it's really cool because you know what the rest of the thing is. Yeah. These producers are sitting there going, what the hell? What did we just give you $5.6 million for? And so they made a quick edit where they went back in, they sped it up just a little bit, and they put the techno music to it, and it literally saved him because he was about to get fired off his own creation going into that. So just know, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, something that you think is really, really cool,
provide some context
every time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, he created a cult classic. He created something that every single person who ever saw this wanted more of. Mm-hmm. And that is what you're shooting for with a film like this that's so far outside of the box, so controversial. You better make it to a point where people are going to ask for more, or like it literally dies on the vine, especially with a five theater release.
Yeah, well, for sure. Do we know what this thing grossed?
So, box office. At the box office, it made $30,471.
Jesus.
But domestic video sales, it did 50 mil.
Oh, okay.
So, at the end of the day, I would say that it was overall a success. Mm-hmm. IMDb, obviously rated it at a 7.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes score, which you know what you get with Rotten Tomatoes, they rated it at 26%. But 89% of audience viewed it as awesome. So that's what it got. They list it as $7 million. Also, this is really interesting too. It was distributed by 20th Century Studios, Motion Picture, and then Hollywood Pictures, Indican Pictures, and Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. I have no idea how Walt Disney got involved in the distribution of this film.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
But they were officially listed as one of the distributors of it. So very, very interesting that Disney had any way in this. I don't know if it's because they bought one of the studios that was a distributor and they just ended up with it.
Either way, it's outside of my pay grade.
Yeah, well, I find that stuff super interesting. But this, there's a whole lot of really, really good, Irish background films out there. And I definitely think this is kind of the start of like, okay, where's the next ones that we go to? Some of my favorite, which I definitely want to cover, is going to be movies like Snatch. Yeah, again, Brad Pitt playing an Irish gypsy. She's terribly partial to Periwinkle Blue Boys. That movie between him and Jason Statham. Oh my God,
you already know how I feel about Jason Statham in movies. So.
I do know how you feel about it, but also, it's one of those things where realistically, can you go wrong with, with Guy Ritchie? Like,
no, not really.
It's really, really hard for him to screw up when he gets to do what he wants to do.
His style doesn't really get old.
So many people forget all the people that were in that film too. I mean, Brad Pitt, Jason Statham.
He does a really good job of he uses movies.
His casting
loaded
is
with
legit.
like a lot of B-grade actors plus mixed with like some A's.
Dude, The Gentleman, getting Matthew McConaughey to play that character. Oh, dude, it was so good.
Dope. Gentleman was dope. I really liked
There's so many things to cover. It's awesome. The whole scene in Snatch where he's talking about feeding bodies to pig farms. You just starve them a little bit, they tear through bone like butter. God, it's so good.
Yeah, Snatch was good.
All right, well, that was Boondock Saints. Obviously, there's a lot of guns in the film, no doubt. There's MP5s, P90s.
A ton.
They're loaded down, but everything, most people only remember the Beretta because it is the most iconic part. It actually ended up becoming one of the cool things people don't realize about the Beretta is in order to be initiated into the team and for them to feel like God has blessed you with being able to be on the team, they had to gift Rocco the two suppressed Berettas. So that was your uniform. If you didn't have one of those, you weren't part of the team. And then obviously we've got the Glock, which was that's the Glock that Willem Dafoe used in There Was a Firefight scene. He's sitting on the steps. He's firing into the air. It's a Glock 26.
So I do want to ask one thing real quick. So when you're using blanks on a gun that's suppressed, or is there any real distinction? I mean, I would assume not.
The suppressors are fake.
Oh yeah.
It actually makes it way easier. Now you can run blanks through a real suppressor. The issue is now you are dealing with tax stamps. You're dealing with more also what happens if you're on scene, actor takes the suppressor off and sets it down somewhere and now it's missing. Yeah, it's so much easier, cheaper, and better to use a fake suppressor, complete pass-through, no tax stamps, no write-up, none of that stuff. And actually, this is a really cool tidbit. I don't want to go too deep into the John Wick series because we there's so much to do. There's so much to do there. But Buddy Roccalotti hits me up for John Wick 4. There's the scene where they're fighting up the steps in France. And he's like, hey, man, we have all these really expensive, super nice guns. We're going to suppress all of them because every single gun gets dropped. John Wick is literally fighting up these steps, killing everybody, right? And the guns are dropping down the stairs. So we developed with rugged suppressors, thank you guys, all the dummy cans for every single one. So that way each individual gun could be dropped directly on the dummy suppressor and save the gun from being destroyed. Yeah. And I mean, we went through dozens of dummy cans in that scene from reshoots and all that stuff. And actually, sometimes if you look really close, you'll see some that are already marred up from reshoots. They were good enough to fire through, or they didn't tear up the threads or anything. But we literally went through tons and tons and tons. So while there are obviously there's the aesthetic look to it, there's also a reason to create these things based on what we're doing with them, right? We know we have to fire through them. We know we're going to drop them. We know we're probably going to break something. It's a heck of a lot cheaper to break that dummy can than to break the actual machine gun that we're using.
Touche.
So another little interesting tidbit.
Yes, man. Well,
cool.
That was another episode of the Pew Culture Podcast.
Man, I love Boondock Saints.
Yeah, we heard you the first time.
So good.
We heard you the first time.
Thank you, Troy Duffy.
Yeah, well, see you later.